But I want to speak about something we spoke on in my men's meeting last night. We went over this. I think the men's meeting is like 2 hours, but we went over this for almost an hour. And a lot of the men last night gained understanding on certain things that they were confused on, especially when we were going into uh, particular subjects like this. So I'm gonna read this out. I'm gonna explain it a little bit. I'm gonna get on up out of here. Um, the verse is 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 7. Likewise, husbands, live with your wives in an understanding way, showing honor to the woman as the weaker vessel, since they are heirs with you of the grace of life, so that your prayers may not be hindered. I'm going to go into this a little bit. If it go over your head, this is what the video is for, where you can come back and you can gain some more understanding from something you might not understand right now. So before I get into this, man, I've been married almost 7 years. It'll be 7 years on Sunday. And I think I've run a pretty good ship over here. I think I've stewarded over what God has given me pretty well. Of course, I can do better in a lot of areas, but I've done a good job at stewarding my family. So let me read this again. Let me break it down piece by piece. Likewise, husbands, live with your wives in an understanding way. So throughout time, man, I've gotten advice from men, divorced men. Men have been married a long time. Men have been married a short time. Just getting advice and gaining understanding. And I remember when I used to drive Uber, one gentleman, we had a conversation from, if you know Houston, the airport, Bush Airport, all the way to Pearland. That's an hour worth of conversation me and this man were having. And he said something, and I really started, after I read this, I started with saying that this man told me, you're in control. I was like, yo, brother, can I get some advice? From a single from a married man to a single brother. He was like, okay, remember this in your marriage, you go just fine. He said, remember, you're in charge, but she's the boss. I didn't understand what he was saying. He said, you're in charge, but she's the boss. Remember that. So what I've gained from that over my 7 years of marriage is, in dealing with my wife in an understanding way, is I'm not always right. And just because I am in charge doesn't mean that I have to tell everybody I'm in charge all day. This is not how a leader necessarily operates. So when I'm dealing with my wife in an understanding way, when I first came in to my marriage, certain things were being ran from a single woman's perspective. And when I added my perspective, I don't think I bumped no heads. I just kind of put it out there. I'm not really demanding in how I say things. So let's just explain a certain topic. When I came into the situation with my wife, she already had 3 children, and she used to cook 3 separate meals. She used to cook 3 separate meals for the children. And she would come into the room at night. She'd be so tired and burned out and feeling underappreciated. And my advice was simply, well, won't you just cook one meal and let them figure out the rest? He was like, well, no, so-and-so doesn't eat this. And so I was like, I don't care. If they don't eat what you cook, they'll go find something else. So this thing goes on where she continues on cooking 3 meals for these children. And then she comes in one day, oh, I'm burned out, I don't feel appreciated. These kids don't appreciate me. And I was like, well, you should go to cooking one meal, because to tell you the truth, I don't think it's fair to me that I've given you a resolution and I'm getting what's left of you after you give the kids all of your energy. And I said, I don't think that's fair to me. What I did in that point in time is I dealt with my wife in an understanding way. Well, I was telling her, look, man, I feel underappreciated because you're investing so much energy in this thing that's draining you. I don't have to argue with my wife. I just put it out there. I say, hey, I think that's unfair that you're cooking 3 meals for them, and then you come in the room and complain to me about cooking the 3 meals that you feel unappreciated for. I say, I feel like that's unfair to me. And so what that did is it took the onus off of me as a husband and it put it onto her as the wife, saying, damn, maybe I need to change something that I'm doing. So when she finally went to the 1 meal, guess what? Them kids figured it out. And it gave her more free time to do and be what she wanted to do and be. Instead of worrying about what they was, oh man, so-and-so don't eat this. Well, so-and-so gonna have to go make him a hot dog. So-and-so gonna have to go make some cereal. So this is how I dealt with my wife in an understanding way. Well, I don't have to bark at you and tell you to do something. I can just say, hey, your way doesn't work. But I'll let you know that your way doesn't work by you going out and continuing to do the work that you do and saying, hey, I think it's a better way of doing that. See, I don't have to argue with my wife. I tell her, hey, I think it's a better way of doing this. Another thing that I learned in the military, when they were teaching us how to do something, they usually gave a 1-hour block of instruction how to do it. And since I don't want to make my wife seem foolish or whatever, what I do is I tell her like, hey, I don't think that's going to work. But I also tell her why I believe it's not going to work. Yeah, it's not going to work that way. It's not going to work. It might have worked for you at one point in time, but it's just not, that's not how necessarily things go. And so that's how you deal with your woman in an understanding way. Now let me continue on. It says, showing honor to your woman as the weaker vessel. Like I said in the beginning, I already know I'm in charge. As the man, I already know I'm in charge. I already know if this ship goes wrong, nobody's going to walk past me to go tell my wife that she messed up everything. They're going to come to me. I know this. So I'm showing honor to my woman as the weaker vessel. How do I do this? I noticed that a lot of African American women, they have problems with trusting. And I'm gonna blame this on us, man. It's really our fault. While we be talking about black men don't cheat, we know these suckers be out here cheating. We know these men be out here cheating left and right. So what I did, because I saw in my family how certain marriages were running properly and some were running improperly, and I said, ha. Well, I'm going to do this in my marriage and see how it works. So what I did before I got married is I gave my woman every password to everything that I had. Password to my phone, password to all my emails. My wife got my location. And this is not for me. I don't care what my wife doing. I already know where she at. This is for her so she can let her guard down and just trust me. And if you don't trust me, you can just go and check behind me. Even my wife can G-check me at times and say, hey, can I use your phone real quick? I just give her my phone because I'm not hiding anything. I'm showing honor by being an honest man. That's how I'm showing honor, by being honest in my intentions for my marriage. So I give my wife all my passwords. Why? Because now this takes her mind off of me doing something. Takes her mind off of that. And it puts her mind in an area to create and be productive. So in my marriage for 7 years, we've been being creative, building businesses, building connections and networking. I got a mentor for the first time, but we don't get this if there's no honor in my marriage. So I'm honoring my wife as the weaker vessel. I know I could hug my wife out. I could do that if that was my intention. I just go out here be cheating. I could be just like the men that she met before me. But I decided to live in an honorable way. Honor begets more honor most times, especially if you have a woman that's moving in the direction that you move. So let me continue on. Let me read this thing out all the way, but then I'll touch on these particular points. It says, 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 7. Let me read this again. Likewise, husbands, live with your wives in an understanding way. The only way to get understanding is with wisdom, showing honor to your woman as the weaker vessel, since they are heirs with you of the grace of life, so that your prayers might not be hindered. Let me continue on. Since they are heirs with you of the grace of life. So if you're doing well in life and she's your helpmate and she is helping you get to this grace that you desire in life, she is also going to be the heir with you. So she's going to be standing right on side. She's an heir as well. So she'll be getting the same grace that you get. This is what happens, man, when you do this marriage thing the right way. When you come into this marriage thing and you intend on doing it the right way. And it says on the last part, so that your prayers might not be hindered. When I be talking to men, I be like, okay, when you've broken the trust in your family, like you've cheated on your wife, you've done something dishonorable, and the trust is broken, and the two people are not aligned, it's two people sleeping in the same bed going two different directions. This means your prayers are being hindered because two people are not praying for the same thing. She might be praying for you to get your life together, and you might be praying to pop some more booty in the club. And that's just not lining up with the prayer that y'all started with in the beginning of the marriage. So we got to honor our wives because we are the head. We know that we're in charge. We know that we're the stronger vessel. We know that we can hull our wives out if we want to. But if we approach this thing with honor, I can guarantee you in the future, we get better results out of our marriages when we approach this thing with honor. I was speaking to the men in my men's meeting. I said, the road to hell was paved on good intentions. There's some people that walk into marriage and they have good intentions, but it's just their method is bad. They have not got the lust out of their heart. They ain't got the depravity and the things out of their heart. So when they get into marriage, they struggle. If you have not gotten lust out of your heart, man, and you get married, don't think that lust is going to go away in your marriage. Your wife cannot solve your lust issues. She can have sex with you, and she can throw that thing from the free throw line. It would not matter because you have not dealt with your lust. You're going to keep continuing to do what you do unconsciously. So I believe this particular passage, man, like I said, and we spoke about this in the men's meeting yesterday, we spoke about this for about an hour. And I'm talking about we went in depth with this thing. We broke it down. We broke it down from the percentage of men who are married, some men who have been married and gotten divorced, some men who are still currently married, and then some men who have not been married yet. So we're getting all different perspectives of this particular issue. So a lot of men who have not been married yet gained a lot of understanding for when they potentially meet their queens in the future, how to deal with them in a very understanding way, as opposed to becoming someone out of character. They say it's a very thin line between a king and a tyrant. If you don't listen to your woman, you can initially become a tyrant very, very fast, especially in your marriage. You're like, man, no, I don't have to listen to you. I'm in control. I'm in charge. I don't have to take orders from you. My word goes. Yeah, you can do that. But then initially, your prayers stop being hindered because y'all ain't on the same page no more. When your helpmeet stops helping you, it's hard to get the desired results that you're looking for out of the mission when your helpmate is sitting there looking at you with a side eye. It's hard to tell me that your prayers are getting sent up because two are gathered when two people really ain't gathered. It's really one person gathered being a tyrant and the other person side-eyeing them. Men, just because we're in control of the situation, just because you're in charge, does not mean that you know everything. Sometimes you might not be great with finances. Maybe you need to defer the finances over to her because maybe she's better in this arena. It's certain things inside of a marriage, man. Sometimes you need to let her take over some things in the house, man, because you're just not good at it. This is what a great leader does. The great leader says, maybe I'm not great at this thing. I can defer. And what better person to defer to is the person that you sat down in the altar with and then married. So what we're doing here is, in this particular paragraph, I'm going to read it out for the last time. It's 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 7. Likewise, husbands, live with your wives in an understanding way. Like I said, the way to get understanding is to have wisdom. With wisdom comes understanding. So if I'm a wise man, I would like most of you brothers to be wise before you get married. That way you can oppose understanding. But what I told most of these brothers is, what we got to get to as black men, especially before we get married, especially before we start this courting process, is that we need to start looking at all women as sister. Sister, mama, how do you treat your sister? That's how you should be out here treating your woman. You should be out here treating your woman like your sister in your house. Like, oh, I love my sister, man. I treat my sister utmost respect. Well, that's how you should go outside and treat your woman. And I'm telling you, when you do this, you'll start getting a greater response out of women. What happened is, when I started doing this, when I stopped looking at women as sex objects and I started looking at them as sister, man, I start building a sisterhood with these women. Out of my brotherhood, being a brother to them, we developed a sister-brother relationship. And what happens is, these sisters start introducing me to their good friends that needed husbands. So I was being fed women that my friends that I become sister and brother with, they were like, man, my sister over here need a good man. And since we sister and brother, I can introduce you to. I found my wife because she was friends with my cousin, and my cousin wanted me to meet her. So I met my wife by being a good man, treating my fellow ladies out there as sisters. I was ushered into meeting my wife. You see how that works? I didn't come in thinking that every woman needs to pop their booty for me. Just because you're a pretty woman, I can't be around you because I'm going to always be thinking sexual thoughts. I'm in control of myself. I'm in control of my lust. So I don't have to think of my sister that way. And I think that's what a lot of this goes into a lot of men watching porn. It takes the intimacy out of you being sister, being brother to your sister. You only treat your sister in your house as sister. You go outside and you treat your other sisters as hoes. So what I'm saying, brothers, is, let me go ahead and read this one more time so we can get on up out of here, man. Y'all have a productive Thursday. I'm reading 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 7. Likewise, husbands, live with your wives in an understanding way, showing honor to the woman as the weaker vessel, since they are heirs with you of the grace of life, so that your prayers may not be hindered. Brothers, take this and put it into your heart. And we have to start dealing with our women in another way that is unlike our conquerors. And I'm strictly talking to African American people. If you come in and you think that this message responds to you, then you can take it into your heart as well. But I'm talking to African American men. They are my main concern. So what I'm saying to y'all, brothers, is we're going to have to start dealing with our women a certain way. When women come to me and they talk about patriarchy, I'm like, Y'all talking about them people's patriarchy. Our patriarchy runs differently. We don't have to force our women to love us. Our women love us. We just have to change how we're doing and how we operate with them to